The Bad Batch Season 3 is upon us and it's time to break down the first 3 episodes. Strap yourselves in as there's a ton to unpack in what is a very solid start to the last season of the show.
Come along. There is much to do today.
And we've already had some big reveals that are sure to start up a debate amongst the fans. Now, before we dive into the breakdown of Season 3, let's just refresh ourselves with where we are with the story up to this point. Towards the end of Season 2, we saw the Batch set out to rescue Crosshair, who's now free from the Empire's clutches. They infiltrated Tarkin's fortress on Eridu, aiming to plant a tracker on Dr. Hemlock to find his secret facility. The final hit hard with Tech sacrificing himself to save the team, falling into oblivion. It's a powerful moment, leaving us questioning if he's truly gone. After all, Star Wars has a history of miraculous return, so let's see what Season 3 brings. With the team now split, Omega is kidnapped, and the Empire uses her as leverage against Nala Se. It was a dark end to the season, setting up high stakes for this one. Now, as we move into Season 3, we know some time has passed since the events of Season 2. The episode kicks off with Shuttle 135 trying to stick the landing on Tantiss amidst a raging storm. It doesn't go well, they crash land outside the safety barrier, and let's just say the local wildlife isn't exactly welcoming. Hemlock, the guy who's supposed to care, is too busy being indifferent to the troopers' SOS. And those lurker hounds, yeah, they're not fans of the planet's creepy crawlies either. Now, we find Omega chilling in a room that's more like a luxe cell than a cozy bedroom. Emery pops in to fetch her for the daily grind, which includes a not so fun blood drawer in the lab. Poor Omega's routine is as monotonous as it gets, and she even bumps into a roughed up Crosshair in the hallway. And here's where things get interesting. Omega's tasked with delivering blood samples to Nala Se, who's got a secret of her own. The Empire's on a wild goose chase to replicate the genetic M count, but they're batting zero so far. For those not in the know, M count's all about midichlorians, those tiny life forms that scream force potential. Now, remember Darth Plagueis and his life-creating shenanigans? Yeah, well, this is the level of crazy we're talking about. What I find particularly interesting is that they're testing clone blood for midichlorians. Of course, they're all clones of Jango Fett, so are they implying that Jango Fett had a high M count himself? Now, just as Nala Se is about to spill the beans, Hemlock drags her off to the vault, home to all the Empire's shady experiments. Omega's playing dog whisperer with the lurker hounds, sharing a lunch with the feisty one she's called Batcher. Now, here's a fun fact, that's actually a nod to us, the fans, affectionately known as Batchers. But Omega's not just about feeding hounds and dodging stormtroopers, she's got an escape plan brewing herself. Crosshair's not buying it though, but Omega's determination is as solid as Beskar. Despite his shaky hands and haunted look, she is not giving up on him just yet. Now, back in her cell, Omega's keeping track of time the old-fashioned way, wall scratches. It seems she's been on Tantiss for a little while now, but she's already crafting her own survival tools like a makeshift Tuca doll from a straw. It's a touching tribute to Wrecker's gift and her resilience. But time's ticking away and Omega's life is like a broken record. Same old routine day in, day out. A little bit like mine, I think. But hold up, there's a twist in the tale when she finds her furry friend Batcher, aka LH-201, all banged up. The droid K9X1 is ready to write Batcher off and have him put down, but Omega, she's not having any of it and does her best to patch the hound up. Now, we then catch up with Crosshair once again back at his cell. He's playing it tough, telling Omega to ditch him and Batcher. He's all, "I'd leave you behind," but we know that's just clone bravado. He's got a soft spot even if he says, "Don't risk anything for me." Just when Omega thinks she can catch a break in her cell, Emery and the gang barge in for a surprise room check. They snag her Lula doll because apparently having something personal is a big no-no. Meanwhile, Nala Se's got some news for Hemlock. They've managed an M count transfer, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The midichlorians in the clone are on the fritz, and that's not what the Empire had in mind. Now, back with the lurker hounds, Omega learns that Batcher's days are numbered thanks to her own kindness. Not one to take things lying down, Omega takes out K9X1 and sets Batcher free. Hemlock's of course not pleased at this and threatens dire consequences, especially for Crosshair, but Omega, she's already plotting her next move. Now, as the episode wraps up, there's a glimmer of hope. Emery sneaks back to Omega with the straw Lula, and in the distance, Batcher's howl echoes from outside, symbolizing freedom and resilience. Now, whilst episode 1 focused primarily on Tantiss, episode 2 follows a different path off-world. The episode opens with a bang as Lady Duran, voiced by the legendary Angelica Houston, makes a power move. A captain accused of betraying her family faces her wrath, and let's just say, it doesn't end well for him. Meanwhile, our dynamic duo Hunter and Wrecker are on a mission, dragging a Pike who's crossed the Duran family in front of them. They're not just there to settle scores, they're after some crucial info on Omega's whereabouts, which they believe the family possess. And guess what? They get more than they bargained for with the coordinates to Hemlock's lab. It's just not the right one. The plot thickens as they land in a jungle following the coordinates, but the real surprise is the destroyed lab they find and 3 young clones they encounter that were left behind: Stack, Deke, and Mox, who the Empire believed they destroyed along with the base. The Empire's experiments at the base have gone haywire, and unable to control them, they felt it was best to level the base to the ground with the clones inside it. However, this leaves our heroes in the middle of a botanical nightmare. Voiced by Daniel Logan, and it's great to see him back, Mox reveals the grim fate of the lab and its inhabitants. It's a tale of loss and survival, with the Empire's carnivorous plants running amok. And when things couldn't get any more intense, Hunter and Wrecker are ambushed by the Slivervines. As the action heats up, Mox and Stack consider abandoning ship, but a distress call from Deke and an encounter with the DC-17 weapons system changes their minds. It's all hands on deck as they face off against a monstrous threat, leading to an explosive confrontation. In the aftermath, Hunter uncovers a clue to Hemlock's next move, but it's a needle in a haystack situation. Hunter promises to drop 3 clone cadets to an island where they'll be safe and able to forge their own futures as the search for Omega goes on. Now in episode 3, we jump back to Tantiss, where the episode starts off deceptively calm, but don't let that fool you. Emery's routine visit to Omega signals a day like any other, but the presence of extra troopers hints at something or someone big arriving. Nardase is taken away from her work to spend time with the imminent arrival, whilst Emery is placed in charge of the lab in her absence. Nardase's tasks for the day now fall to Emery, who's now tasked with testing today's blood samples from the clones. Now up until this point, Omega's blood has been taken for testing, however every time it reaches Nardase, he discards it. However, this time she won't be there to do that. Now Nardase quietly warns Omega that once the Empire tests her blood, she'll be in danger. This is pretty much confirming to me what many fans have suspected for a while now, that Omega has a high M count herself. Now the moment fans have been waiting for. In steps Emperor Palpatine, voiced by the iconic Ian McDiarmid, surrounded by his imposing Praetorian Guard. His arrival sends ripples through Tantiss, and John Williams' legendary score highlights the gravity of his presence. The big reveal of the episode is the mention of Project Necromancer, the name last heard in The Mandalorian Season 3, a clear sign that Palpatine's work on Tantiss runs deep and survives even himself. Cutting back to Omega, who's not one to sit around while her fate is decided by others, she listens to Nardase's plea for her to free herself and snatches her datapad to make a break for it. Of course not before she convinces Crosshair to come along for the ride too, leading to a heart-stopping escape through the Lurker Hound cages. Crosshair, ever the enigma, is caught between giving up and his bond with Omega. His actions during their escape speak louder than words, and now his shaky aim adds a layer of vulnerability to the hardened clone. With Hemlock enraged to learn of Omega and Crosshair's escape, moments after Palpatine's departure, he sends the Empire out to find them. Their project must remain a secret. However, after learning it's Omega's blood that will provide the key to the Empire's experiments, Hemlock halts the pursuit, but not before we're treated to a thrilling chase and a narrow escape. Since the first season of The Bad Batch, Omega has been the star of the show, and it turns out she's a key piece in Palpatine's grand scheme. It's extremely likely at this point she has a high midichlorian count, making her the golden ticket for the Empire's cloning experiments. Star Wars fans are always treated whenever we see or hear Ian McDiarmid's portrayal of Emperor Palpatine, and it's clear he isn't just chilling in his throne room this season. He's busy with Project Necromancer, aiming to cheat death itself. The goal: Force-sensitive clones, and with Omega's unique genetic makeup, she just might be the breakthrough the Empire needs. It's pretty clear even this early on that this season isn't just about the Bad Batch. It's stitching together the entire Star Wars tapestry, from the Dark Times to the New Republic. It's all coming together, revealing the roots of Palpatine's return in The Rise of Skywalker. So buckle up guys, because this season's shaping up to be a wild ride through the galaxy. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's breakdown. May the Force be with you, and remember, no one's ever really gone, especially if Palpatine has anything to say about it.